Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to Weathering with You. This is an anime movie. It is a donation reward from Smurflogs, and I know nothing about it really. I had heard of this movie like when it was coming out. It got some pretty good attention. People were talking about it, but it kind of fizzled away. I guess maybe other movies took its place in the limelight or whatnot. It's not like one of those movies like uh oh my goodness. Oh my god, I cannot think of the name. Wow. The move There's the movie about the two the boy and the girl who switch like bodies and stuff, and it's a really big anime movie. I can't think of the name right now for the life of me though. And then there's the other one that I also can't think of the name of right now, about the deaf girl and everything. Um, I cannot think of their names, but both of those are like really big anime films that have gotten insane attention and kept it. Both of those are still considered two of the best anime films out there. And I've seen both, and I prefer the one about the deaf girl personally, which is a bit of an unpopular opinion. Um, Most people seem to like the other one more and consider it one of, if not the best anime film. But yeah, I can't think of their names at all, and it's gonna bother me. I'm gonna look it up. I don't give a shit. I'm gonna look it up because I can't think. It's such a big, popular, like huge name movie too, and I can't. Like my mind is completely blanking. Your Name. That's what it was. Your Name. Everyone loves Your Name. It's like one of the highest rated anime probably. And the other one was A Silent Voice. That's right. And I like The Silent Voice more personally. I just personally think it's better. I think the subject matter is more interesting. I think the characters are better. I like it more. And that's not to say I don't like um Your Name, but I just don't like it as much. But those two movies have like stayed in the public consciousness. Like everybody still knows about them. Everybody still talks about them. They still get massive attention from anime fans. This one, however, really hasn't. There are some movies that have come out that have gotten big attention when they came out, but then, like I said, just kind of fizzled out. They just aren't talked about much anymore. They'll occasionally be brought up, but it's not super common. Other examples of this are A Whisker Away, I think it's called, and Boy and the Beast. Movies like that have gotten like huge attention when they came out and were really popular, really like talked about constantly. But then it's just they weren't anymore. And that's not to say that people don't like this movie as much or whatnot, but it does make me curious as to why it's not been talked about as much. Um, Now, as I said, I know pretty much nothing about the movie. I don't know what the plot is. I don't know if I've even seen a trailer for it. I might have, but I don't know. Um, so I don't know what to expect really at all. Based on the title, I kind of assume there's a love story aspect to it. Um, I don't know. The title just makes me think that. Plus, the aspect of weather is brought in with the title, but I don't know what that would mean. Because that could mean a couple different things. It could be more literal and mean like there's some kind of like weather phenomenon or something in within the movie that's important and brings these two characters together, maybe. Or it could be more metaphorical and talking about like weathering a hard time together. Metaphorical is probably the wrong word for that, but you get what I mean still. Like two people going through a hard time together and weathering that storm. You know what I mean? Um, and the thing is, it's like, again, without any context, without knowing, it's impossible for me to say which it would be. Heck, for all I know, it could be both. They could have both of those in there with the metaphorical storm being a hard time in a character's life, while a real storm happens as well. It's very possible to include both. But again, I don't know. I'm interested to find out, though. I am definitely interested to find out. So, that being said, we are going to get this started and hope for the best. So, when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode, or to the movie, rather. I'm used to saying episode, it slips through sometimes. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, I think I can see why this kind of fizzled out in terms of how much attention it was getting and how much people have been talking about it. It's very good, but I don't feel I'm going to remember it for a long time to come. It's not one of those movies where I feel like I'm going to. It doesn't feel like it left a lasting impression on me. But like I said, it is very good. It's very enjoyable. The characters are extremely likable. Um, the story is nice. It has a cute romance to it, but it's not. It's again just not something I think is like super long lasting in terms of its memorability. It's something I'm glad I saw. It's something I, again, really enjoyed and really thought was a great movie. But again, I don't think I'm going to remember it after, I don't know, like a week or two. I might remember some small details, but that's about it. Um, it just, compare this to a Studio Ghibli film. A Studio Ghibli film is so strong in its whimsicality, or just whimsy, I guess you could just say. It's so strong in its whimsy, it's so strong in its imagery, in its creativity, that it sticks with you. I can very heavily remember what certain scenes and images look like in Spirited Away. I know what Howl's Moving Castle, how it moves. I remember the wild beauty of Laputa's castle in the sky. But at the same time, it's like this one just doesn't have that. It's like, let's put it this way. The reason why Studio Ghibli films do so well is because they go the extra mile. Hayao Miyazaki and the rest of the people who work on them take it as far as they possibly can with the imagery, with the creativity, with the excitement, and this film doesn't. And I think that's the biggest downside to it, and the only real downside to it, honestly, outside of the pacing at the beginning being very slow. But that's not that big of a deal because it picked up pretty quickly. Um, but that's the only real big downside to this film is that it doesn't go as far as it could. With the whimsical, magical, weather power related stuff, I feel like if it took it a little further, it would be much more memorable and much more overall long lasting. And it would have gotten people to talk about it for a lot longer than they did. Um, I feel like there was very little time spent in the sky and everything with how much they built that up. The actual portion that took place in the sky or on the cumulonimbus clouds and on that island in the sky and stuff, it was way too brief. Way too brief. And because of it, it just felt like a buildup that didn't really amount to much. Um, but it was good for what it was. It's just, again, it just feels like they didn't take it as far as they needed to. Um, but that's really my only complaint about this film. So let's talk about all of the positives. So this movie is about Hodaka, a 16-year-old teenage runaway. He's left his home for reasons we never really find out. Like we don't really know why he chose to run away from home. Um, but he ran away from home and went to Tokyo, where he started having trouble. He's trying to search for a job, he's trying to search for a place to stay, but because he doesn't have ID and stuff, and he doesn't have the ability to do much as a 16-year-old kid, especially one who's run away, he isn't having much luck. He ends up meeting Hina by luck at a McDonald's where she buys him a Big Mac. Or at least she might have already bought one for herself, but I think it's implied that she did actively buy it for him. Um, and eventually he ends up seeing her again, being seemingly hassled by these older guys to do something that would not have ended well. He saves her, and they end up connecting, and throughout the movie we see their relationship grow as they just interact. Um, my favorite scene of the movie centers around that, actually. The scene when they're in the hotel room and they're eating, exchanging the food with each other, they're singing karaoke, and it ends with him giving her the ring in bed and everything. It's like the reason why that scene is my favorite is because it just shows them being human, just enjoying life, having fun. It's not directly related to the plot. It's just these characters, these kids, these teenagers having fun and just experiencing life together. And it feels so natural, it feels so right, and honestly it's the only part in the movie where they really do that, because the rest of the time they're either doing business as the Sunshine Girl thing, they're running from the cops, they're um, talking with other people about like serious things or other stuff's happening. It's really the only time in the film where they really just get to have fun and just be themselves, and it just feels so right. I liked Nagi. Nagi was amazing, honestly. Like, we first meet him, he's this ladies' man, and it's like the funniest fucking thing to see. Like this little like what he's supposed to be like what 12 years old. This little like 12-year old ladies' man getting all the chicks and stuff, and it's really fucking funny. Um, but then you see him start to interact with Hodaka and his sister, and just have fun and everything, and you get to know him more and see how close he is with Hina, and he feels like a real character. He feels like he's fun and silly and goofy and a bit of a ladies' man, but at the same time he's just having fun with his life. He knows how to live. Hina is a very sweet, nice girl. She has a couple moments of like where she's a little more intense, but it's very brief. Um, she's just a really just genuinely likable, nice person. And then you have the one guy, Hodaka's first employer. I can't remember his name right now. Maybe I could look it up. I don't see why not. I can't think of his name at the moment because he was kind of a supporting character. He's first introduced on the boat to Tokyo. He ends up saving Hodaka from going off of the edge of the boat during a storm, and he later ends up employing Hodaka at his business, which writes articles and stuff for magazines. A lot of times they can be stuff about like myths and stuff. Suga, that's his name, Keisuke Suga. Um, so he's a pretty fun dude, but he also seems very cynical at times. When we find out about his daughter and the fact that his wife died and everything, he becomes a lot more sympathetic and becomes like much more full as a character. We feel like there's much more to him at that point. Even seeing him interact with his daughter, and when you like see him cry at points when thinking about his wife, and especially seeing Hodaka act like he would have and stuff, and it's like it really makes him feel again just like a full-fledged, well thought out character. His niece Natsumi, she's really fucking fun. She's hilarious. She's ridiculous. She's a badass. She likes to tease both her uncle as well as Hodaka plenty, and she ends up being very, very important by the end in helping Hodaka get to Hina. Um, and then there's just a few other more smaller characters. Um, and apparently, from what I'm reading here, there's a couple characters who are actually in your name. Like this is actually like I guess canonically in the same world as your name. Um, because the jewelry store saleswoman, um, and Fumi's grandson. Um, Fumi was the grandmother, one of the customers of the Sunshine Girl service. But both of those, he was Tachibana's his name. He was when they were playing with the grandmother and all, hanging out with her. He was the grandson there. But him and again the jewelry store saleswoman are both from your name. So it's really that's really fascinating. I just found that out myself, and it's really interesting. Also, so there's some pretty good name. Fun fact: there's some pretty good name voice actors in the English dub. Apparently, like Alison Brie, Stephanie Shea, and Michael Sinterniklaas rather. Um, Ashley Bedecker sounds familiar too. Don't know if I know that one though. But either way, um, yeah, all the characters were really what drove this. They were just really likable characters. They really pushed forward the story well. And you just really started to grow attached to them as you learn more about their lives and who they were and just their personalities and stuff. The only characters who I didn't really like, and I know this might be, like kind of like a ha ha moment because, I'm a leftist and everything, is the cops. And like there's been cop characters in movies and anime and shows and stuff that I've liked more, but here I think it's just because they didn't really have much character to them. Like we only saw the cops in like a handful of scenes, and they didn't really have much to them. They were just stereotypical cops. So because of that, I just feel like didn't really I didn't really care about them. Um, it's not even about my political beliefs or anything. It's just I don't think that they were done well as characters, and they're the only ones, mind you. They were just too generic and boring. And they didn't really add too much other than acting as an antagonistic force for our heroes, and especially near the end in terms of Hodaka getting back to Hina and saving her and everything. That is pretty literally the only role they had in this film. And I know there's a lot of movies out there, a lot of shows and whatnot, where that is how the cop characters are brought in. They're brought in simply as a force to act as antagonists towards the main character in order to basically just keep them in order to just keep them from their goals or whatever. But it just it feels almost unnecessary. Like they could have easily replaced the cops and all of that stuff with just increment weather situations, and I feel like it would have actually worked better. Um, and as such, the entire stuff with Hodaka having the gun and all also felt like out of place for the rest of the movie. And this isn't a big issue. This isn't a big issue at all because it was still good and it still led to some great character moments and stuff. Um, Especially in that ending scene when they were when he was facing off with the cops for the moment there. Um, but still, it just it still didn't feel necessary. That's all I'm saying. Like it could have they could have scrapped that and just had something else instead. It just felt like it was tacked in to add a little bit more intensity and drama. Um, but otherwise, like again, I really love this movie. It's not my favorite anime movie. Like comparing it to stuff like Your Name or um, my mind is blanking on the name again. I remember Your Name now, but I can't remember the other one. Oh my god, that's gonna bother me. Hold on, I'll bring it back up. Um, it's sad that I can't remember the name, yet I like the movie so much. Silent Voice. Comparing it to Your Name or A Silent Voice, I would say it's better, in my opinion, than Your Name. Which, again, I know is going to be very unpopular because of how huge of a movie Your Name is for a lot of people. And again, a lot of people saying it's pretty much one of the best, if not the best, anime film out there. I think it's extremely overrated. It's really good, but it's really overrated. I think this film was better and more enjoyable to me than Your Name. Um, but I feel like I still like A Silent Voice better. I think A Silent Voice is still just much better of a film overall. Um, but this was great, and the animation was phenomenal. The voice acting was great. Just it was extremely well done. So don't get me wrong there. I want to make that very clear that I really did love this movie. Um, but that doesn't mean that I think it's the best movie ever, or that there aren't movies better than it, even within its own medium and all. But yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I'm glad I got to check it out. So thank you to Smurf Vlogs for choosing this as a donation reward, and yeah, hopefully we'll get more good stuff like this in the future. Um, so if you, Smurf, or anyone else wishes to donate, or donate again for those who have already done so, you can donate at any time. Again, as always, just get in contact with me in the comments or somewhere else or whatever, and we can figure everything out. I think you actually had a second choice when you donated for this, Smurf. So if you want to donate for that second choice now, I'd definitely be willing to check that out as well. I can't remember the name of it, but it was a live action comedy movie, I believe. Um, yeah, if you want to donate for that or anything else, if you're able to now, only if you're able, of course. And if anyone else wishes to donate, again, please just get in contact with me, probably through the comments or whatever else, and we can discuss it. We can talk about whatever the reward will be. And again, any amount donated gets a reward. You only, if you donate, which you only do if you want to and are able to, you can donate only however much you again want to or are able to. Do not feel obligated to donate a lot. Any amount is okay, and any amount gets you a donation reward. And you can make multiple donations at once if you want to as well. If you want to and are able to. Like if you have $10, you could make two $5 donations if you wanted, as an example. And as long as I haven't seen it, you can request pretty much anything. A movie, a series, something on YouTube, anything you would like to see me react to. Movies tend to be the easiest to get to because I do pretty much a movie every week. Series will take a little longer just because I only have 2 slots on my schedule for donation rewards series, but it's always worth it to keep that list going. And YouTube stuff will just be like a kind of whenever I get to it situation. So if you want to donate for that as well, feel free. And if you can't donate or just don't want to, that's fine as well. You again have no obligation. No content on my channel will ever otherwise be like paid or anything. You'll be able to see everything anyways. So it's all just up to you. Either way, tell me what you thought in the comments below of Weathering with You. And hell, even tell me where it ranks among some of your favorite anime movies out there. So in the meantime, thank you so much for tuning in. And thank you again to Smurflogs for donating for this film. And for now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.